Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Lunch with Lindsay. I am joining you from my grandparents' backyard, which felt sort of whimsical, which is how I view Taylor Swift, who is a topic of this episode. So I have loved bringing you guys along on my travels and introducing you to people I meet along the way, sharing their stories here and topics and things that I find relatable. So here's the backstory on this one. I am loving the human connection of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Who isn't, right? But I recently went away with my husband for our anniversary. We went to Middleburg, Virginia, and we were at a brewery and met the family that owns the brewery. They were delightful. Their daughter, Natalie Femia, runs their marketing and social media. And I got into this conversation with Natalie and her best friend, Summer Church, about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and about how good they thought it was because they were not football fans and it was really bringing them in. And I thought, I've been wanting to have a conversation like this for a while, and I called upon my good friend Bridget Condon, who is a host and reporter at NFL Network, because I think this timing is really special. It's important for young girls, it's important for women, for men out there, for people that aren't football fans, that maybe feel intimidated by it, but the intersection of Taylor and Travis, I think, is pretty cool. And the fact that his numbers are seemingly off the charts when she's in attendance is also funny, but interesting. I mean, he's such a great player anyway. I really have been wanting to talk about this for a while, so I hope that you enjoy this conversation that's pretty real and just interesting in my opinion. So sit back, enjoy. I am so excited to have you guys joining me today for this conversation because two of you, Natalie and Summer, are new friends who I literally met within the last month. And Bridget Condon, you've been a friend of mine for a really long time. So before I go into who you guys are and how great you are, I want to set the scene here that this is a conversation about, a little bit about sports, about lifestyle, because I really am fascinated by the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift whole relationship thing. Obviously, I love football, so there's a whole conversation in that. But I also want to talk a little bit about friendship here. And Bridget, you and I have known each other for a really long time because we met at James Madison University. I've talked about you before. You're a host, a reporter with NFL Network. So watching your rise has been just so fun and so awesome. It's so good to see you.
I know, it's always good to see you. And it's just funny that we've stayed friends all these years. I'm so thankful for it because I always say, and I know we had an Instagram live a couple weeks ago where I shared the full story, but I just still remember feeling so scared to call you that first time, circa 2014, and now almost a decade later to be able to have this relationship has been so beneficial for me, and you're a phone call away whenever I'm dealing with anything in the industry. So I feel like it's kind of like a big sister relationship, and I'm just so thankful for you.
Well, I love it. And I love watching what you're doing now and crushing it on the sidelines and in the studio because it's so fun. And also you're so great at what you're doing. And it's really cool to just watch that progression. And Summer Church and Natalie Femia. So everyone listening or watching, I literally met them because my husband, Melvin, took me to this wonderful place called Salamander Resort in Virginia. I'm from Virginia, so he took me away there for our anniversary. I didn't know where we were going. And we went, and one of the things we did was go to a horse race, which was so great. It was steeplechase. It was such an amazing environment. And that's where I met Natalie and Summer. And we met because, Natalie, you guys were there because you do marketing and events with Lost Barrel Brewing, which your family owns, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Summer, I know you guys are great friends. You work at Deloitte, but what I love about what Bridget just said is you guys were telling me your friendship story about how the two of you met, and I loved it. I mean, can you just share a little bit of that?
Yeah, for sure. Summer, you want to start?
Yeah. We met in 2019. Natalie was an instructor at Pilates studio Solacor, and I was determined to take as many classes as possible, specifically Natalie's. So she was an instructor and I loved her, and I would stalk her on Instagram and tried to become her friend. And then finally Solacor hosted a happy hour, and we didn't talk to anybody else. We only talked to each other the whole time we were there, and we fell in love. And then now our husbands are really, really close. We do couples weekends all the time, and it's a friendship that I cherish.
Yeah, it was so funny. I taught the 6 a.m., 7 a.m. classes. So you had to be pretty into working out to come. And Summer was always at every single class, but was like not half asleep during the classes. She was always on the first machine and like really enthusiastic. So I was like, whoa, maybe this girl just like really likes to work out and is like super friendly and stuff. So then when we got the notification that we were going to have the happy hour, I was like, oh, I hope she's going to be there. Like, I totally want to be her friend.
Yeah.
And then she happened to be there. There was like 10 people, but no joke. We were like in a, you know, one of those booths,
like
and it was like,
booth.
yeah. And then we just happened to sit next to each other and we talked the whole time and we're like, oh, wow, people are leaving. Wow.
And then
see you later.
we
And
went
then we
shopping.
went shopping.
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah, like after a few drinks. And we actually did like, it was right before the holidays, so we did quite a bit of holiday shopping for our family. Which is the only time we
That
shopped
just-
for anybody else besides ourselves.
I love that because I feel like there's something really unique and I think special about like friendships that you make when you're older, right?
Yeah.
And like Bridget, you moving to California for your job, like you obviously had to do that too. So I think it's something that people don't talk about so much, but especially like in your career and just in life. And what I loved was, Natalie, when you were sharing about how like you wanted to be friends with Summer, but it was kind of, you're like the teacher, right? So it's just this whole thing. I don't know. What do you guys think about that topic?
I was like, how do I casually go up to this girl? Like she was going to work, so it's not like she had all day to be like, so tell me your life story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I become friends with you other than like, hey, thanks for taking my class. Hope you have a fantastic day. See you tomorrow. So I think we both had the same idea, but it was kind of an interesting way, how do we approach it? So I'm happy that we got there because, I mean, it's so much fun. And it's nice to be, friends with someone after college, after growing up. We have a lot to relate on. We got married around the same time. Like she said, our husbands are friends. It's, we're kind of at the same place in life, which is really fun.
Yeah. And I think everybody, you hear like the adage of like, it's so hard to make friends outside of college or outside of school or whatever. And I really like to defy that. Some of my best friends I've met post-college or became really close with post-college. So I think just being intentional, seeing somebody that you think is hot, smart, cool, and funny, and going up to them and saying, hey, I want to be your friend. And that's all it takes.
Bridget, is that how it happens in California?
Yeah, I feel like it's the same thing. It's kind of weird when you try and make a friend after college or as an adult. I feel like it was so much easier as a kid. You have to put in the extra effort because it's so easy to go to work and want to come home and sit on the couch and not leave your apartment. But I've found workout classes too. I do Pilates, Orange Theory, and that's kind of where I feel like, meet people that have a similar lifestyle as you and same interests. And then just being in this industry, I feel like all the women flock together. So that makes it easy too.
How's that been? Is it welcoming? Is it, because that's one of the things that I've talked about, like, when we moved here to Connecticut where I am, I was at ESPN, and that was really, it would have been the equivalent of like what you're doing now at NFL Network, where you're around a lot of men and women, obviously, but that was sort of like, yeah, like it takes me back to that, because I had to figure out like, all right, how am I, like, want to go grab some coffee? Like, what,
Yeah.
It's great.
I feel like I was thinking about this morning. I feel like when we grow up as little kids, especially if you're interested in sports, you watch things and there's usually like one token female, right? Especially a lot of the local sports stations, if they have 3 people, it's usually 2 men and 1 woman. So because like you're naturally competitive, or I'm naturally competitive, you can get into a mindset of like trying to put yourself against the other women. And I've really started to get out of that mindset since being at the network, because there's so many women there. And I've found that when you take people in for who they are and aren't necessarily like thinking about someone as competition, it honestly is so much nicer. And it just makes you remember that there's enough seats at the table for 2 women or 3 women or 5 or 10 or however many women. And we're stronger when we're together. So that has been something that I've loved, kind of like changing my mindset on, because, and I think it's society too pressures us into thinking like there can only be one of us. And once we realize that's actually not true and we're stronger together, I think it creates such a healthier, more driven like society and just acceptance around women in sports.
I feel like it's such a mind switch though too. Like you've got to your point, you've got to strategically make that decision that you're going to do that. And then I also think it's like, yeah, you gotta lift people up. There, and I was just going to say something else and I'll think about it, but it's wild really, because there are, and you guys, Summer and Natalie, I think you're both probably in that same type of situation, right? Like in the industries that you're in too. It's really, it also being transparent and just really open really makes things so much easier, you know?
Yeah. I learned, I think, like the value of like connection, I think, not just like in a workplace, but like I'll go to networking events or whatever, and I'll make a friend, whether they're going to be my best friend or something. I make a new friend, and it one makes them more enjoyable because now I have someone to look forward to. But it also, I think you gain a lot more when you're just kind of open to talking to new people. It's not only beneficial for you, but it's just more fun. Like, I think it just makes everything more enjoyable, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. It's a cool thing to know, like, or to think about earlier in your career too, because I think that's helpful. Because it is like these different industries do breed a lot of competition, and I think, yeah, Bridget, you're sort of spot on with the way that you have to navigate that, and I think that's great. And you are so much stronger when you like band together, and there's so much to learn from each other too.
And like even you, there are women, and I think it's gotten so much better now in 2023, but like I'm sure you had experiences where coming up, like you would have loved to have been able to call a woman who did exactly what you did and be like, how did you navigate this? What did you say here? How do I avoid this situation? Where I feel like I have you, you know? And if you turned your back on me or were like, oh, I see you as competition, I don't want to help you, it's just hurting everybody. So I feel like, you know, I always respond to every single email I get from any like aspiring reporter because it's just like a domino effect.
Yeah, that's true. And one other thing I think has come very clear for me is like other people's expectations. I early on like let that stuff seep into my head a lot. Like if I'll be really honest, someone like along the way was like, you are going to be on the Today Show. I just know it. Or literally someone said to me, I know you're going to be doing Monday Night Football. And the problem with that is there is so much that it helps you with your confidence. Like, oh, they think I'm great. Like, that's a really great thing that makes me feel wonderful. Even if that's not what your end all be all is, if that doesn't happen, then how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Like you fail, right? And I know that's big, and I'm not saying like everyone, but I think everyone deals with those things.
Yep.
I think that that's something that we like subconsciously, everyone.
It's like you put pressure on yourself, right? Too. And especially as a woman in a male dominated industry, you feel like you have to work twice as hard or get to a place twice as far as someone else. And so if someone is like, oh, you're going to be this, it's like, well, if I don't hit that, then yeah, I'm a failure when you fail to look at all the things you did accomplish.
Well, and you're just like, it's progress to be right here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So Natalie, the stuff that you do, and real quick, I want to set the stage because their brewery is so awesome. And Bridget, you need to check it out because I know you're a Virginia girl by college association. It's so beautiful because this is just Virginia, Middleburg countryside, and they've got this amazing setup. But there's live music, and you know, of course, there are a ton of wineries out there in Virginia, but the brewery is just this really special vibe. So they ended up loading us up on their, what do you call it? It's like a souped up golf cart.
Gator.
Like,
oh, the Gator.
The Gator, thank you. And they gave us a tour of there, and it was just so amazing to see. But the stuff that you do there, like describe what it is exactly, because it's a ton of work. You created like all these labels and everything.
My gosh. Yeah, so we are a family-owned brewery, so everything is done, via the family. And I didn't know much about before this, but I do have a background in marketing and graphic design and web design, so that's kind of how I got pulled into it. So I've not only learned a lot about beer, but learned just like a lot in general. So I do all of the can labels that we do in-house, and we send out to distribution. I do like menus, website, all the photography, videography, planning of events, whether they're daily events, someone who is renting one of our private event spaces, or larger scale events like Christmas in Middleburg, where we provide the Santa Claus for that. So every day is literally something different, and it's pretty interesting. It's just so random.
I love it. It was such a cool place to see. And then Summer, with you at Deloitte, you're like traveling kind of back and forth, right?
Yeah, I am based in Richmond, Virginia, and our office is up in DC, so I travel back and forth a bit. But the nature of consulting and the nature of Deloitte is you work on a lot of different projects. You only work on something for a year or two, and then you're transferred to something else. So the nature of it is just like things are always changing, and I feel like I've had 5 or 6 different careers in just this one career. And thinking about like female representation, my clients are primarily in the military health system and the VA, which is obviously a very male-dominated space. And so trying to guess, are they not listening to me because I'm a woman, or because, you know, I just maybe don't know what I'm talking about or something. But it's been an interesting career progression over the last 6 years since graduating college to try and navigate those very male-dominated spaces.
Where do you guys think your confidence is right now with what you're doing?
I'm pretty pro fake it till you make it. So I think it shifts based on what I'm working on, but I think we just had this dinner where we all talked about imposter syndrome, and a lot of the women at the table were really expressing how they deal with it. And I think just even having that conversation of imposter syndrome and seeing that women throughout my organization from my level and higher, the fact that everybody feels it, it's like one of those things where you realize you're not alone in it and everybody's feeling that way. So knowing that everybody's feeling this imposter syndrome, maybe you just don't have to. So I fake it till I make it. At least I try.
Cool. That's very cool.
I think mine comes from put a lot of effort into the things that I do. So I think that knowing in the back of my mind that I'm trying as hard as I possibly can, hopefully will take me somewhere and give me that confidence that, you know, I know in my head that I'm doing what I can to be the best at what I'm doing, whether it's
like the preparation piece of it.
Yeah. Like whether it's the best compared to someone else, or just, you know, that I'm putting in effort to do what I personally can to my best ability.
Awesome. Bridget,
Me
do you
too.
have thoughts?
I would agree with
question. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No.
Like,
I agree with you. The preparation always makes me feel more confident, and just the repetition. Of course, now NFL Network is a larger scale than when I was working in local news. But when you really think about like the actual job, I've now been doing this for a decade. So I feel a lot more comfortable in the actual day-to-day work, like reporting and going on TV and those kind of things. I think the confidence kind of stems from like stability too. So like being at a place where I feel supported and feel happy, like those are things that all add to it, you know?
That's totally, I agree. I think it's like the preparation, and there are different moments too. I just went to this ad week in New York City, and I hadn't been there before. And it was, they were doing an interview with me, and there are certain areas that you walk into or circumstances where all of a sudden I feel like you get re-energized. Like there were all these people there that were from all these different walks of life and industries, and it was like, whoa. And so sometimes I think it's really cool when you get in a situation where your perspective is able to sort of be blown up, right? And you're like, oh yeah, like my stuff isn't that like, right? Like, bam, right? Okay. So let's talk Travis and Taylor, because the reason I wanted to have the three of you is because, so Bridget, like, you know the NFL inside and out, and so I know this stuff, like your value in this conversation is helping us, like is fleshing out, right? Like the reality behind this as it relates to him, the football player, and all things. And Summer and Natalie, when we were talking about this over the weekend, it was like such a fun conversation, and your points about like making it help you guys want to pay attention, I think is really valid.
Yeah.
So first of all, thoughts on what you think about that, relationship, which by the way, now, I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I was like, no. And now obviously there's something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love them. I mean, like I am like a reality TV person. I like watching things play out. I watched his reality TV show when he had it. So I knew who he was only strictly because of that. And then I am an avid TikTok goer. I mean, my screen time is disgusting. And so that's how I first found out about this whole Taylor and Travis Kelce thing. And I mean, all of videos are, one, providing me with so much entertainment, and two, I've been seeing some rumors about how this might be her best relationship yet, because he's very polite to her. He doesn't make her run to the car and hide for paparazzi, all of those kinds of things. So I kind of support it. I dig it. She looks like she's having a great time at football games. I mean,
Yeah.
who won it? And also, like, not all the attention is on her all the time, which is, might be a little nice for her to take a break for a second. So, big fan. Hopefully it lasts.
Yeah. I mean, I love. And I think that she's had the American economy on her shoulders all summer long. She's generated so much value for this country. So to see her like be, silly and having fun at these games and like just living her best life, I just love to see someone truly living out a happy existence. So.
And I feel like there's something to be said about two successful people individually coming together. I think a lot of times these football players who don't get married right out of college or in college, a lot of times have to feel like, okay, do you like me because of who I am? Or do you like me because of the money or the status or things like that? And when you have two very successful people come together, I don't think you have to think about, are you with me for the wrong reason? Or are you actually vibing with me and enjoying me as a person? So I wonder if there's a little bit of like, wow, this person's seeing me for me versus people that I've dated in the past where it's all about who I am, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that they, have a lot in common. They can relate to each other on different aspects of life and they can share. I don't even want to call it the spotlight, but just like the kind of social pressure that, I know they feel it on different levels, but it's nice to be able to relate to your significant other versus having to kind of be the person that everyone asks the questions to or thinks is the one that needs to be doing something.
Yeah.
I love the images of like the hand holding and how people.
Oh yeah, like this versus this.
Yes. And then did you see
so many ones.
The nose? Like you could tell that the one paparazzi shot from this week where it was like there was no foundation on her nose, and it was like all over his
lipstick.
face. Yeah.
Like in the beard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it
it
is just providing so much TikTok.
She's already provided us so much
algorithms.
Entertainment this year. She just keeps cranking it out. It's amazing.
No, you're so right about that.
She doesn't sleep.
We're going to the concert, the movie concert. I'm taking, like, there are a bunch of girls from this Daisy's troupe that my daughter's in, which is great. And I dropped my daughter at school and she was like talking to her friend the whole way walking up the stairs about like what she's wearing. And I was like, this is my first experience as a mom because she's still little. She's 6. Where she's like so excited. And my daughter actually said to me the other morning, Mom, I love the Chiefs. And I was like, what? A, you never want to talk football. We talk football to different people, and she's like, stop talking football because she doesn't.
I can relate.
And I was like, what do you mean? And also, she has said that she likes the Dolphins, and that just is because.
Oh yeah.
But so now I was like, why are you a Chiefs fan? She's like, I just love Taylor Swift. And when she said that, it was last week, and I was like, ding, ding, ding.
Yep.
Like, this is why.
Yeah.
This is why. Like, we all joke about it, like the NFL needs more eyeballs, but I really think that they should be writing Taylor a check because the amount of girls that are now paying attention because of her, this is such an open floodgate. And Bridget, how does that sit for you?
Yeah.
Because, you're in it all the time too.
I feel like I've been trying to get my friends to understand football and watch it more, but it's such a scary thing, right? When this has been like in the past, like a man thing, right? Like a male dominated hobby. It's kind of scary because it's like, okay, I know a lot of people feel like if I watch, I'm not going to understand it. I feel too scared to ask questions because I don't want to get made fun of. And this is the perfect thing that is like bridging the gap. Now people feel confident enough to be like, okay, what's going on? Let me get in it. And I always say the NFL is the best reality show on TV. It takes a little bit to get into it and understand all the moving parts, but there is so much that happens on a day-to-day basis that it's like I'm constantly looking at Twitter, looking at my phone, like he's there, he said what, he did this, he did that. And once you get in a little bit to understand it, it hooks you. So I feel like this is the perfect bridge for the people, I know a lot of women want to be involved, right? They're not looking at their husbands like, oh, like, I don't want part of this. Like, I know a lot of people want to be sitting on the couch, rooting, understanding the passion behind it. And now this is the opportunity to feel confident enough to say, all right, let's go. Teach me about football. I remember the like Swiftie rules that came out a couple weeks ago or after the first game that she was at, where it was like, 6 points for a touchdown. This is a field goal. And it's funny, but it's like,
Yes,
imagine if you really never learned football. Like, I was lucky to go to a high school where our football team was so good. So Friday nights we were at the stadium and like our guy friends were teaching us. And back then it's like, you didn't have to feel like insecure for not knowing. And then I learned and I started watching and JMU football and, you know, now working in the NFL. But if you never had that, it's kind of scary as an adult to be like, okay, teach me about this.
Yeah, I think it makes it approachable and to a new audience, but also I think it makes it like more relatable. Like even just in the way that football teams specifically are marketing their players now, they're less about the team overall and more about the players themselves. Like you'll see all the TikToks from the teams are like, okay, they're entering practice. Like, let's give them a question of the day. Let's like ask them. And it says their name. It shows their picture, makes it more relatable. And also like you kind of, you're more wanting to pay attention to something when there's a story behind it. I mean, obviously the story behind football is the game itself, but you know, there's people behind those jerseys. And I think this makes it, I think girls specifically, or me, I need like a story behind something to want to like it. And I think that's what the girls are latching on to these days. You know, they're latching on to the Taylor Swifts of it all, the Alex Earls, the Allison Cooches of them all. Those are who getting the new audience in here because they like the person. And so then they like the person they're with. And I think also other sports are starting to do that. You know, you have the Formula One NASCAR show, or the Formula Netflix show, and you know, the basketball shows, the football shows. So I think that a new turn with making it a story.
It's it's like the behind the scenes stuff. I feel like that's also just the nature of like, because we have so many now, like access to this, it's like, you've got to be behind the scenes or else it's not new. And to get like, that's what I feel like that's the juice. The other thing is, so like the Miami Dolphins is where I started covering sports, and I was doing a show that was on the Dolphins players off the field. That was the primary focus. And at the same time, I was the sportscaster down there, like cutting my teeth as a sportscaster for the first time. But I found myself on the ground floor not knowing a damn thing and like I had to have someone tell me, okay, like give me these rules for walking in this locker room. Like, what do I need to know? And Bridget, I'm sure like, and I literally, you guys, my friend Andrea, who was like the mentor at that moment because she was leaving the station, she's like, you look at the clock up on the wall.
I was just going to say, find the clock.
Find the clock. You look at the clock. It's like, because you don't want to be looking somewhere else. You don't want to
accidentally see something that
you don't want to do an interview where you accidentally see something behind you that you're not supposed to see, and then you can't run it. But no, besides that, it's like, I remember there's a player, so Leonard Fournette with the Tampa Bay Bucks before they went on and had all their glory with Tom Brady and all of it. He was in like dire straits in the league, and when he came back to play with Tampa, he told me a story about how he was like, you know, the day I found out I was going to that team, I called my mom, I sat in my car and I cried like a baby. And he was like, because I never knew if I was going to get another chance. And like, I have chills thinking about that, like, because it made me think every player has a mom, like every player has a story, like there is, and people love to say stuff about like, oh, they get paid so much. No one knows what they go through. And that's in every sport. You don't see it, man. But like, and the other thing, and now I'm getting jacked up. I'm like, confidence and chemistry. Like, I truly believe that chemistry and championship winning teams is born when a player or a guy wants to play for the guy next to him, you know, and you know fast if a team has it, right? Don't you think, Bridget?
Absolutely. There are people that are like, this team's winning the Super Bowl. And I'm like, I've been in that locker room. I'll tell you right now, they're not winning the Super Bowl. Like, you can just feel it.
And like, you have to want the success for the people around you just as much as you, I think.
Yes. I think that's really true.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that's why I got into sports. I don't know if it's the same with you. It's just being able to tell these stories and bridge the gap between fans and these superstars, right? Because they are people. I get so mad when I look on Twitter, and I think there was the Vikings, was it the running back who recently got sent horrible messages after dropping a couple balls a couple weeks ago. Might have been the receivers. I'm blanking on his name right now, but I just remember thinking, like, reading, because he posted the messages he got, and I was like, what are these people doing? Like, imagine if you had a bad day at work in your company or whatever, and it is blasted on YouTube for millions of people to see. That's what happens when you are an NFL player or a professional athlete. You don't get to have a bad day. Everybody's seeing it. Everybody's criticizing you. Nobody actually knows what you're going through, and nobody understands how hard it is, right? Like we look at them and we're like, oh, catch the ball, run into the end zone. Why didn't you do this? It is hard. And they're going against professional athletes, like I know it looks all fun and dandy, but this is a very big task that they're faced with. So I think sometimes
it's hard.
Reminding people, hey, take a deep breath. These are people. It helps to understand. And to your point on the F1 NASCAR or the Netflix show, my cousins who have never been interested in sports watch that docuseries and now get up early in the morning on the weekends to watch the races. And it's because you're so passionate about the people. And I'm like, okay, well, if we need to find a way to continue this, because it's honestly it is only benefiting everybody. I know there are people like those Twitter warriors that are like, enough of the Taylor Swift. I want to go back. No, the sport is big enough for all of us. Yeah. It is better with everyone included. And let's continue finding ways to break down those walls for more people to become fans.
How many times at the end of a game is the biggest thing about how these two rivals in sports swapped jerseys or talked to each other or congratulated this person when this person is the person that won and this person lost, but the person that won is going to congratulate the loser. It's because they're friends with each other. At the end of the day, healthy competition is fair, but a lot of these players and famous people are all friends, and that's why they that's why you like them, is because they're your friends. So I think the videos of people being human while playing sports get so much traction because you're like, well, what's the story behind that? Let's talk about that.
No, that's so true. I always find myself when they have those moments, like you just said, the winner and the loser hugging or whatever.
I love it when they hug. It's so cute.
Right? Or when
so
cute. Something, or know that they're having a little mini conversation. I always want to know. And it's funny because my husband, Melvin, will be like, oh my God, the game's over, turn it off. And I'm like, no, I love
that's the best part.
Just show me post game.
Yeah, post game interview.
Right. And also, so to that point, what do you think Taylor and Travis really talk about? This is what I think is so fascinating. I just really want to understand.
Do you think he makes her sing for him?
I would.
I would.
Be get that guitar. Let's go.
Okay, he's probably learning. She's a big cat person. So I don't think he was a big cat person. So they're probably talking about cats. They're probably talking business.
I was going to say, I think they're talking about their investments and what they're doing. All the money also that she's generated for him.
Gum together.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would like to think they're having simpler conversations. Tell me about you.
Silly.
What kind of perception does society give off for you?
How do you differ?
How are you misunderstood?
Think? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
right.
Sure.
How are you misunderstood?
Last Tuesday, after the game, that was fun for you. Did you go get a McFlurry? I don't know. What is things that other people don't know about you? Not so I can tell your secret, but
tell me about your
be normal
days.
For 5 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you be doing if you weren't dominating the world with your world tour?
Yeah.
What would you be doing if you weren't the best tight end in the NFL? It's fascinating.
Literally. Hopefully they're having normal things.
I think they deserve a lot of credit, though. Like you mentioned, cut them a check or make them NFL Couple of the Year or something, because what they've done, both economically and also just in a human person-to-person, getting people interested is amazing.
And, the fact that Mama Kelce was the most popular person.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, my God.
And now there's a whole other element to that. It's this is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
And the fact that Patrick Mahomes is, I don't know. I love the whole thing, but I do think that it's going to be interesting to watch as the season goes on, and who knows what will happen with them, right? But it will be interesting to see how it plays out, because obviously he's got a job to do. She has a huge thing going on right now, but as the season gets tighter and tighter and the stakes get higher, it's sort of the timing, I'm just interested to see if it's okay, they keep showing up, but also I was watching this interview with Simone Biles on the Today Show, and they were talking about the Taylor effect, and she was talking about how she's going to the Green Bay game when they play the Chiefs because her husband, and I was like, oh my God, everyone's leaning in. This is great. It's just, Yeah, and asking questions. I think we've got to find outlets and ways to educate like young girls or young kids for that matter, but like in really approachable ways. Like maybe there's like a school or like elementary level curriculum for football.
I mean,
like get like
Taylor
into
Swift.
flag football.
Yeah, I mean, if Taylor Swift.
I play flag football.
Like little kids playing flag football.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
Because I think too, when you understand it, right? Like that's why I think more people are into soccer because women play it too. And if you're like, I'm a big learn as I do person, and I always am like, I played flag football in high school, but I'm like, with my husband, I'm like, let's go play because it just that's how we'll understand it so much more.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, I've got some rapid fire before I let you guys off the hook here. Okay, are you ready?
Let's go.
All right. In the vein of the football handhold for Travis Kelce, what is that? Oh, and you guys are all newlyweds, all of you.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh my gosh.
Did you know that? Summer, you are too, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So literally, this is like such a great connection. Okay, what is your favorite chivalrous thing that your husband does?
I mean, my husband just came in from work, right? And I said, as soon as you get here, take the dog out. Like, I can't handle this. But my husband is amazing because Natalie can attest to this, he just does everything for me. Like,
Without having, like, she doesn't ask. It just, like, magically appears.
Yeah, I'm just very, very, very spoiled. But I also earn it, so. But I'm very well taken care of in an emotional sense. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. My husband will make me coffee on the weekends, which I love. Like, because on the weekdays we're both like at different times out of the house, but on the weekend it's always like, I got your coffee, and I like my coffee iced, but we have an espresso or like an espresso, however you call it. And I love like the pumpkin coffee, so he'll like make the pumpkin coffee and then get out our mixer and like shake it with ice and then like puts in the extra effort. Yeah. I'm like, okay, you're a good one.
I love that.
Yeah.
How about you, Lindsay?
I feel like it's evolved, and now like the thing that I probably like love and I'm most grateful for is, so my husband gets up and leaves at an early hour, and he always will come over and like say bye, and that sounds like it should be like a given, but it's like it means something. I just feel like it's the routine. Unfortunately, sometimes for me it's a really early routine, but I can go back to sleep. But I do really, that's just special. It's just nice.
It's a little thing. Yeah, Connor sometimes has to go into the hospital. He gets up at like 4 a.m. to go in, and I'll get my kiss on the forehead, and then maybe one day I won't get. I say, "Oh, where's my kiss? I didn't get my kiss today." But I get my kiss and I go right back to sleep.
But opposite. John will do that at night because I go to bed first. I'll like get into bed, like fully have done no steps that I like know need to happen, and I'm like, John, time to like tuck me in. He'll come in my room, he'll get socks because I like to sleep with socks on, and then he'll hand me the socks, and then he'll turn on my like sleep sounds, and then I sleep with a weighted blanket. So he'll like move the weighted blanket all the way over me. He's like, all right, good night. And I'm like thinking in my head, like, I could have done all this by myself, but I just choose not to every night.
Oh my God, you are tucked in officially like a child. I love that.
I say make my toothbrush.
Sometimes he'll lay there with me, but sometimes
probably not. Yeah, I say
sometimes I'm like, I just want to go to bed.
Making my toothbrush, and I make Connor literally put my toothpaste on my toothbrush for me every time I brush my teeth at night. Make my toothbrush. I know.
Oh my God, that's
so
amazing.
Insane.
Okay, wait, next thing. First thing that you do every day, or the thing that you can't live without starting your morning with?
Cuddling with my dog.
Oh my God, that's a good one. That's so wholesome.
Yeah, every day
I was going to say like putting my face
her.
moisturizer on.
That's a good one too.
I shower. I have to shower. I cannot.
Natalie's
start
a
my day
big
without
shower.
showering. Yeah. Big on showering.
Anytime you exit the house, come home, take a shower.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
very
crazy.
good. I'm very big on like making my bed.
Yes.
Everything else.
I make my bed before I go downstairs. That's like the law.
Same.
I feel like I can do it in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Especially with the way blankets are now. It's like, so anyway, this is such a boring conversation. All right. Favorite way to spend an off day?
Oh, okay. I get up. I go to workout class. I get a smoothie like a good smoothie, and then I come home and I caffeinate aggressively. Like I have like so much coffee, it's amazing. And then I put on a cute outfit, and then I go to the farmer's market, and then I go shopping, and then all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock and it's time for a martini. And then you get dressed in all the new clothes you just bought, and then you go to your favorite restaurant and you get a perfectly bone-dry gin martini with a twist. And that's the perfect day.
So
You
specific.
can't really top that. It's like so specific and nice.
I do it every chance I get.
That's amazing.
Okay, mine's a little different. We live in Marina del Rey. So if you're familiar with California, like all the beach cities,
wow.
like then there's Manhattan, Hermosa, and Redondo. So what we love to do is rent bikes right where we live and then bike to Redondo, which is like 10 miles, get lunch there, and then bike back. It's like the most beautiful bike path
That
right on the
sounds so
water.
nice.
And it's always just a little treat to get like lunch and then come back. And it's just, you feel like you've accomplished something, but I always think biking like doesn't feel like you're working out. So it's not annoying. And you get a little vitamin D. It's awesome.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all have to move to California so that we can do that.
Yes, come.
I know that sounds
I was like,
great.
that sounds
Redondo.
so great.
Natalie, what about you? Do you have a
Oh my
favorite?
gosh. No, because I just feel like every day is so like random to me that I'm kind of like okay doing whatever on my day off. I kind of just go with the flow, whether it's like a random event I have to go to or like laying on the sofa or I don't know.
I
just
feel like
I
tossing
just
like
kind of enjoy whatever.
like a craft. Like I feel like you like love to like do a project while watching Southern Charm or
Yeah.
Real Housewives of New York. And like that, I feel like that's always when I know you're your happiest.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, there is something very whimsical too about like when I met you guys and we were at the horse races out there in Virginia, it felt really different to me than being at one of like the bigger, well-known horse races because it was like you could tell people like lived the lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, and
Oh,
it was like everything from the really great chunky sweaters and the hats, and I don't know, it's just there's something that's really relaxing about it and sort of spontaneously intentional.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's a great way to put it. I think that's probably why I don't have like a specific like day off thing. It's just because it's just really just kind of whatever comes to me. I'll, take an activity wherever I can take it.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing is your prediction for Taylor Travis and how this plays out. Is that too hard?
I hope they are just so happy together and that if he is nice to her and she is nice to him, that they stay together forever if they want to. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I root for love. So I just hope that if it's real and it's honest and it's true, that they both feel as I do in my marriage, and that's very safe and secure and loved and supported, and that they uplift each other to succeed in their careers. That's what I hope.
Yeah, I hope that they end in happiness, but reality, I think it just fizzles out like over the next 6 months.
When she goes
just
on
kind
her
of
European
quietly,
leg.
like no one ever speaks poorly of one another. It's just like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we were too busy, like whatever.
Yeah. I just feel like
I
they're so
hope-
busy.
Yeah, that's a really good point though, because there's been a lot. I feel like lately it's like you're hearing all these stories that we pay attention to because you want to pay attention to these stars, and then it's like it seems like a lot of people are sort of talking about one another, like
Yeah.
our past things, and it's like let's just all move forward. And I'm excited to see honestly if there will be a song out of it, and hopefully
Oh,
it's
for sure, an
possible.
album.
For sure,
You
a
know,
whole
but like,
album.
yeah.
Travis's version.
All right, you guys are the best. I have like 3 episode ideas with the 3 of you again.
Oh my God,
to join,
let's
but,
do it.
I love it.
I know you guys are so great. Thank you so much for your time. I know you guys are all really busy with what you do, but
Thank
is there
you.
anything else before we say bye?
Oh my gosh. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was so fun to meet you.
You guys too.
We had the best time.
Good time.
Yeah.
Thank
lots
you.
of
We had the
laughter.
best time, and we're so appreciative. And Bridget, so we'll
Whenever.
come see you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on, we'll do the bike ride. We'll do it all.
Yeah.
But I want to
Bring
go
your
back to
clothes-
Virginia. What?
Yeah, come
Yes.
on out.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
We
yes.
already booked our
Horses.
spot for the spring races for next
Ooh.
year.
Okay.
So on the calendar. I don't remember what
This is really great. We can do a reunion there.
Yeah.
That'll be
Oh my God, a live podcast.
A live podcast.
Yes, at the brewery.
Yes.
Oh my
ready.
God. There we have it.
Itself.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like,
Fields.
we need to start bonding women together instead of tearing them apart because we are stronger as one. Put it on my tombstone.
Put it on my tombstone. Women supporting women is great content.
Yeah.
I love it. It's true. Great content. All right. You guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. And,
Thank you.
We'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I loved talking to Natalie and Summer and Bridget, and they're so real and genuine. I really appreciated it, and it resonated with me because I know that there are a lot of people out there that probably feel intimidated trying to pay attention to football, or it's just not fun when you don't understand or have a connection to a team or a player and any of that. So anyway, thank you to all of them for their time. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you will like and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do that. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear what you want to hear more of. And as always, you can listen to this podcast anywhere you get your podcast. Don't forget to rate, leave a review, and I will see you next time for some more Lunch with Lindsay.